Hello and welcome to the Growing Green podcast. Your host, Jeremiah Jennings, is the owner of Growing Green Landscapes in Birmingham, Alabama, and has a passion for growing the entrepreneurship community for those who are young in business. Being a business owner isn't easy, especially in the early years, and that's why in this show we dive into a wide range of topics covering all the challenges small business owners deal with. Even if your company is generating $1 million or more, the stories from our great guest and Jeremiah's own firsthand experiences will propel your business forward. And now, here's your host, Jeremiah Jennings.
What's going on, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to another episode today here on the Growing Green podcast. This is your host, Jeremiah Jennings, and we're very excited to be coming to you today with another fresh new episode and another guest interview, and this is going to be a really fun one. This is take 2 with John Pajak because we got 4 minutes into the first recording and realized I didn't press record. So I think that's actually might be one of the first times that I've ever done that, recording, especially with a guest. But anyway, John Pajak needs no introduction at all. He is the man, the myth, the legend about knowing your numbers and everything else in between. John Pajak Financial Coaching and Turf Tamer Lawn Care. He's grown a successful business there and is now helping other people grow successful businesses when it comes to knowing their numbers. So, John, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing great, Jeremiah. Thank you for having us having me on the show tonight.
Absolutely.
Guys over there, but
no. Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm excited to have you. We've been wanting to do it for a little while, and we finally got linked up. And hope that you've been doing well. Mm-hmm. It was an honor meeting you and getting to hang out a little bit at Hype House back in February. And it was just super fun time down there, getting to create a lot of content and just network with people. And it's just fun, so fun how technology works because like we're sitting here looking at each other and we're hundreds of miles away. We live in different areas of the country, but social media has brought us together and we've created a friendship now. I think I can say friendship from my end. I don't know about your end, but
yeah, absolutely.
I love hanging out with you and all the things that you have to offer. And so what I want to do is, man, I want you to kind of run the show today. I want you to come on and talk about everything from knowing your numbers to running a successful lawn care company to whatever you want to add in there in between, because I get messages every other day, it feels like, about people learning to know their numbers. How do you know your numbers? What does that mean? Because people say it all the time, but they don't really explain it. And that's something that I'm not, honestly, like I can explain it on a base level, but not to the level that you can. So I wanted to get you on and talk about that and just break it down for the guys in year 1, 2, 3 and kind of help them avoid going down a slippery slope and getting turned upside down in their business when it comes to profits and margins and everything else in between. So I want you to just take it away, man, and give us your all tonight, and we won't hold you for too long. I know you said you got a raspy voice, you have some allergies, so I want this to be a value-packed episode, and I want you to bring the heat tonight.
All right, we're just going to bring nothing but value, so
that's right.
Don't worry about my backstory or anything like that. There's other podcasts that you could go find, and you could find out all about me.
Yeah.
But let's just put it this way. For several years now, besides running my successful lawn care company, Turf Tamer Lawn Care, I've been doing financial coaching, and my specific focus is helping other business owners in the green industry, build budgets so that they could have profitable price points for their services. And if we're going to condense this and not talk about the fluff that you hear in other places, let's just get right down to it. If you're just starting out, you're not going to have the same kind of expenses and overhead of a guy that's doing, been in business for a while and is doing millions of dollars in business.
Yeah, 100%.
In revenue, okay? Yeah. When you're first starting out, you might look at it and go, hey, I have this vehicle, I have this trailer, I have this piece of equipment, I have the tools that I need to perform my work. So that's what I'm going to recuperate that, and that's what my price is going to reflect. That's not a bad start, but always when you're first starting out, there's going to be things that you don't know because you just don't know.
Yeah.
So what you have to do, and especially for guys that are just starting out, you don't shoot for where you're at right now. You're going to shoot for a little higher up where you're going to be. Even if, people say fake it till you make it, all those types of, little kitschy little sayings and things.
Yeah.
But, if you want to have multiple vehicles or multiple trucks with crews out on those jobs, bringing in revenue, you're going to have to start thinking bigger and accommodate for that type of thing, because you're not going to want to be sitting there constantly raising your price, adjusting your prices, especially with your existing clients, because they're going to want to log in and go, hey, yeah, this is a good service that they're providing, and this is the price. I think it's fair. And then you will lose people if you mess with their pricing too much.
Yeah.
People are more accepting of a price change a little bit here and there when needed, but if you're doing it on a monthly basis, they're gonna get fed up with that
For
real
sure.
quick.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's back up a little bit and start. One of the bigger pieces of advice I could give is not only look at what you want to do, find your wheelhouse and stick to it, but find somebody that's in that wheelhouse that's successful at it, and kind of use them as your mentor.
Yeah.
Because they've already gone through a lot of these things, and it's amazing within our industry, within the green industry, you will be surprised at how forthcoming some of these guys are. They want to give information out. They want other people to succeed. It's not everybody. You're going to have a couple people. I'm sure if you ask like
There's a few
5
bad
people, you
apples in
might
the
get like,
bunch.
you know, yeah, you might get like 3 really nasty responses. You get like 1 no, and then you got 1 guy that go, "All right, kid, come on.
Yeah.
I'll show you what to do." You know. Um, but really, when we say know your numbers, that it depends on what you're looking at. I mean, that could be anything.
Mm-hmm.
But like I say, find the wheelhouse you want to work in, and then go from there. Move forward
Yeah.
and try to, uh, find that like next level that you're going to achieve or you're going to strive for, and then start planning out how to price things out to get to there.
Yeah, for sure. So let's take it to the level of, let's go to the young in business guy, because that's who we target here on the show, is guys out there that are young in business. And let's say we're going to say for the guy that's been in it 12 to 24 months, they're full time, they're figuring it out, but they're still like, I know my prices changed drastically in the first 24 months of my business. Like in the first 20 at the end of 2 years versus the beginning, they were drastically different than what they were in the beginning. So let's talk about that niche specifically, I guess. And I mean, a lot of this can apply across the board, but that's what I really want to hit on. Those first crucial years of those years 1 to 5 is what we can call it. Years 1 to 5, where you have to get your pricing exactly right.
Sure.
And how do you do that successfully? Do you use softwares? How do you figure out, and another thing, how do you figure out your expenses? That's something that I get a lot of questions about, like just how do I do it? It's not what it is, it's how do we do it? And what are some basic principles you could give to those guys out there?
All right, let's take it step by step. We'll chop that up a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's go back to we need to know what we're doing, right? So for the guys that are just starting out, you might have all the tools and equipment that you need to be successful. But one thing a lot of people overlook is production times.
That's a big one. That's
and this
a
is
good word
a key
right there.
element because really, when you think about it, the common denominator that for like me, when I go through, I could help somebody that has a lawn mowing company, a fertilization weed control company, a landscaping company, a hardscaping company. I've helped guys across the country that have like these super weird niche jobs that I didn't even know existed that are in the green industry. They're super interesting,
Yeah.
And even though I didn't have experience in that, I'm like, the common denominator is time. So if you really break it down to it, it's like, how long does it take you to do that job? How long, with the equipment that you have, are you, like with Turf Tamer, I'll use my company as an example. We have a very clear idea of what our target customer looks like. And I don't mean like, oh, they got brown hair and blue eyes or something stupid like that. No. It's, like where they live, what their disposable income is and things like that.
Yeah.
But also, what their lot size looks like,
Mm.
because we're not, we don't really do acreage. We don't do. We could do up, like up to an acre roughly,
Yeah.
but where our target is we know what size lawns. We have a very good idea of how long it takes us to knock those lawns out.
Mm-hmm.
So I could take a look at a lawn, and just based off of the square footage of the grass itself, I could look at it and say, okay, there's not that many obstructions. I know that this should take us 15 minutes to do the application and make sure that we hit all the edges and do all the proper things to do it properly. And we're not just grinding through and jamming through. We want to do a good job so we don't get any callbacks or anything like that. But the key thing is we really have a very good idea of what our production times look like.
Mm-hmm.
And um, we, sorry, my daughter, thank you. She had to give Dad a oatmeal
snack.
cream pie,
There we
so
go.
thank you,
Oatmeal.
sweetheart.
Hey, you cannot beat oatmeal cream pies. The best midnight snack
No,
ever
they're
invented.
they're lovely. They're one of my. I think they are too. Um, but let's bounce back so that we're talking about we cover these
Value,
things.
right? I don't know. I think
Um,
oatmeal cream pies is value.
the value. Yeah, I want the value to come out to your listeners. Um, really getting your production times in order and streamlining those processes is going to help you find those numbers that you need
Yeah.
to not only make it appealing and attractive to the people that are trying to purchase your services, but also those numbers make sense and they're profitable for you all the time. So once we break it down and we know, okay, we have um, another thing. Okay, you understand what your production times are. So if you know on average whatever you're doing, let's just say you're a landscape or a hardscaper that you're putting in a, 12 by 12 square patio,
Mm-hmm.
and you have a standardized block that you use. Uh, on average you kind of know how long it should take to put a regular installation in, and we're not talking about like change orders or anything in case you hit some a pipe or something like that that gets in your way and you got to refigure things. But we're just talking in general. It's very important to know what those production times are, because then you could go back and you could really see like what your hourly rate is,
Mm-hmm.
and then apply it to that. And therefore, you're covering all of your expenses, you're recouping equipment costs, you're covering your labor, the labor burden, and you have your profits and everything all cooked into that one piece, and you should be able to predictably remain profitable using those techniques.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's there's a lot of stuff that goes into knowing your numbers,
Yeah.
because one, it's like I said, we've got all our equipment, you've got your overhead, you've got all those things that you have to recover. And then it's like, okay, how long does it take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys to do this job, whatever it may be? So, what most of the guys that listen to you, what would you say your biggest swath is? Like, are they lawn mowing guys? Are they
Yeah. Lawn maintenance.
landscapers?
Lawn
I know they're
maintenance.
probably good mix.
Yeah, lawn maintenance guys for sure, and a little bit of landscaping in there as well. The time thing is huge. I think that's something that I didn't. It took me a long time to realize that. Of you got to figure out exactly down to like the minute how long a yard is going to take you to really hit those numbers that you want to hit, and that's how you also have to estimate yards that way. Like you can't if you think a yard's going to take you 47 minutes. You can't say it's going to take you 52 minutes because that's extra money in there that you might lose that yard over because you're charging more than you should charge. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. One of the tricky things about lawn maintenance, and I'm sure you'll agree with this, is in the spring rush. Like let's just talk like cooler season weather, okay? Like where I'm at, we only cut, if we're lucky, we have like maybe mid-April through November, like Halloween
Yeah.
is usually like actual grass cutting. Cleanups and things come in November. There's still some mowing, but you only have that short amount of time to make that money
Yeah.
right there. So one, you have to look at, instead of saying, "Hey, I got 12 months to work, I only have this window to work." I should make the window look like that. But
Yeah, small window.
I have this window out of the year to work, and not only that, but when you think about how our grass grows, it's cool season. So in the springtime, it's growing eight. It could grow up to 8 inches, 10 inches a week,
Yeah, that blows my
and
mind.
you're gonna get, yeah, I mean, you're gonna get double cuts, triple cuts in there. It's wet. Excuse me. Not very easy to maintain.
Yeah.
And you have to kind of account for that because, in the summertime, like right now, it's June 21st, first day of summer. We're hitting 100-degree days, which the lawns get torched. And it's best to actually stay off of them unless you absolutely necessarily need to get on them.
Yeah.
So, if you look at like springtime and fall versus like middle of summer, I could probably knock out most of, if I was mowing, I could probably knock out a lawn in 15 minutes. Whereas in the springtime, it would take 45 minutes
Mm-hmm.
for me to do that exact same lawn.
Yeah.
So what you have to do too is with those production times is take your averages.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something, unfortunately, guys that have not they're in business for the first couple of years, they might not have caught on to this yet, or they may not have thought about that. So one of the guys that come to me for coaching, I tell them, I'm like, I don't care what system you use. It doesn't matter if it's just a timer on your phone, and you're writing down like, hey, I'm here. You pull up to Miss Jones's house. It's 9:30 a.m. Okay, write that down, 9:30 a.m. And then until you basically are turning the key to take off again,
Mm-hmm.
then you write that time down again. It's like, oh, it was 10:04. All right, so it took 34 minutes to cut Mrs. Jones's lawn. Well, that might not be consistent throughout the season because in the middle of the summer, maybe it only takes you 15 minutes to do it. So the best thing you could do is you keep track of that time, and then you could average it over X amount of months, and then it'll give you a better idea of where you should, like how much time it takes to cut not only Mrs. Jones's lawn, but a lawn that is very similar
Mm-hmm.
to Mrs. Jones's lawn. Because especially if you're, this is the ideal thing is you get route density in one neighborhood, and almost everybody's got like cookie cutter type lawns. That it's like, okay, they're all fenced in, and say they're 9,000 square foot, actual turf of 9,000 square feet, but it's fenced in, so you're going to have to go all the way around the edges with the trimmer. Not only that, but all the stuff that's in between. But you could, if as long as you're tracking that, most people will see that there's a common, there's a pattern that evolves from that. And you could break that, it's like cracking the formula, and you're like, oh, hey, you know what? This lawn and this lawn are almost identical in times, and guess what? Their layout is almost identical.
Mm-hmm.
So it helps you get those production times in place so that when you do actually figure out what your overhead recovery, your labor, all the numbers you need to know, you can break that down, turn it into time, and then put out those prices that are accurate and keep you profitable.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things that like it takes time. It's not you're not going to do this overnight. You're not going to figure it out overnight. It definitely takes time, like you're saying. Go out, map the yards, and learn the processes behind it. And so here's one thing that we get a lot too, and I know this is a packed question, so you can just kind of do the short, brief answer here, or take it as far as you want to. But I think maybe the most common question I get is, how do you come up with a man-hour rate? And I know you've heard that a million times. So, what is your advice there? What is the process? It might be the dumbed down version, because I know you have training program that we'll talk about a little bit later in the show, that you really dive deep into this stuff and work with companies individually about that. So you just kind of share your thoughts on that.
I'll just say it right now, man. Why not just say program budgets, break evens, and bottom lines workshop.
Yeah.
That's what this is. That's the meat and potatoes, and that's what really dives deep is in people's businesses. But really, it starts out with what's your goals as far as income. Okay, you got to figure that out. You got to know what services you provide. And I know there's a lot of guys, especially when they start out, they think, I'm going to do landscaping, I'm going to do mowing, I'm going to do applications, and I'm going to do irrigation and lighting. And they think they have these huge ideas, which is great. It's very, it's like keep that excitement going. Don't lose that, okay?
Yeah.
But if you try doing all of that so quickly, you're going to find yourself very stretched out too thin, and you're not going to be very good at any of them.
Yeah.
Especially if you're just starting out. There's a lot of guys that worked for somebody, and then they're great technicians, but when they jump into the entrepreneurship, they fall flat on their face.
Mm-hmm.
And I speak from experience on this because many, many, many years ago, I was doing the same thing, working for another company. I had I was like the right-hand man, and then I got to the point where I was like, I could do this on my own and make money, and I won't have a boss. And I went out and did it, and I fell flat on my face because there was a lot of things I didn't realize and I didn't think about way back then.
Yeah.
And then, coming back into it many years later, I learned those lessons, licked my wounds, things had healed, things had gotten better, and I said, you know what, let me just do this again. But I'm going to do it smarter. So if you're going to focus on like one or maybe two things,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you're in lawn maintenance, because obviously the next, if you're doing weekly lawn mowing, it's very easy to then do bush trimming or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying not to do that. I say that's okay. Go ahead and do that. It's just you're going to be working a lot of extra. It's going to take a lot of extra time and effort and whatnot. But I would just say don't spread yourself out way too thin.
Yeah.
Okay, so try to stay in your lane. So once you develop like a budget of like, hey, I'm going to make X amount of dollars, whatever it is, you're going to figure out, okay, how much of that money comes from, let's say, lawn mowing and then say bush trimming. We're just going to keep it at those two examples. So you look at that, and then you look at the equipment that is required for those things. So lawn mowing, you need a vehicle, possibly a trailer.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have a truck that has like either a flatbed or a ramp, or a box truck that could store everything in it. But let's just say you have a basic setup of a truck, a trailer. You have your lawn mowing equipment, so you have your stick equipment, your mowers, whatnot. And then we're also going to need your, bush trimming stuff, right? You're going to calculate all of those things, and you're going to depreciate them over a certain amount of time. Because, it's very difficult, especially with mowing, in like year one, to go, all right, I'm going to be able to pay this thing off in 1 year. I'm going to get the ROI in 1 year.
Yeah.
Because if you try to do that, your prices are not going to, they're going to be way above what's the average.
The market average. And this is big.
Okay.
Everybody needs to pay attention right here. Stop and pay attention, because when you're coming up with what you want to make and the time you have to do it in. So if you want to make $100,000 a year and you try to pack it into 8 months schedule or 7 months schedule, then it's going to really bump these rates up. And you could take yourself out of play when it comes to being the market, equal or close to market value.
Right, because let's just say, you're going to make $100,000 a year, right?
Yeah.
If you just listen to these numbers real quick. Just over 12 months, you have to do $8,333 per month, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But then you take that exact same number, the 100,000, and you divide it by 8. You get 12,500 that you have to generate.
Yeah. So
So
you're,
we're talking like 4,000. There's $4,000 difference.
yeah,
If you could work year round, which some people can because they're down south or they're out west and they have like a whole season all year round,
mm-hmm.
that's great. But like for guys like myself, where I live, I'm not far from Chicago. I'm right there, right underneath Lake Michigan.
Yeah,
It could start snow. Past couple of years we've had snow by Halloween.
yeah, that's
You
crazy.
have you only have that window that we keep talking about, but you got to start thinking about that. It's like, hey, you know what? If you want to make that 100,000, you have to generate over 12 grand a month within that season.
Yeah,
Um, how do you do that? Well, let's go back to the equipment. You know, uh, you have to have a number for that piece of equipment, whether you're still making payments on it or if you own the equipment and you're replacing it. And that's a huge thing that a lot of guys do not do is they don't plan for equipment replacement or equipment obsolescence or the equipment failures that happen. And just a quick simple thing like a spring on the deck of a mower, right? You're like, well, okay, I'll just go get a new one, no problem. Those big springs, I mean, those things are as big as my hand. They're big meaty things.
oh yeah,
Real pain in the butt to stretch out to put back on the deck. They're
yep,
super strong, right? But they fail. One of those springs costs about $50.
yeah,
And if guys aren't stacking money away, if you're not planning for that type of thing, if that's not built into your overhead recovery, you're going to put yourself in a hurt locker
yep,
because you're always going to end up borrowing money or you're not going to make profits or you're going to say, you know what? I don't need to pay myself, which is like the number one sin that almost every single young entrepreneur does. They just go, I just need the business to grow. I need the business to grow. I'll pay myself later. I'll pay myself later.
mm-hmm.
When they do that and they neglect to pay themselves, they're really cheating themselves because not only are they not getting money for doing all hard work, but they don't really know what their costs are, their
Yep,
true costs are. That's why I always say, it's like, I know you're going to be working in your business those first few years, but just imagine if you had to pay somebody to do it.
yep. What would it
And
cost?
right now, yeah, right now, the $12 an hour guy is gone. Like he's never coming back,
Yeah,
Most of the people in my area, I mean, we always paid better than what we never paid minimum wage by any means.
yeah,
But, now with the way things are going, uh, people are expecting better wages for
oh
what we
yeah,
do.
yeah,
And all those things creep and leak into the pricing that you have to, recover or the cost that you have to recover. So, when people go, "Oh, I can't believe you charge $50 minimum for a mow," it's like, yeah, I think that's very fair
yeah.
considering all the things that we do.
Considering how
And
much money I've lost in fuel this year.
exactly,
Yeah,
so let's just start. I know I'm starting to wander, and I might be losing some people because it's just I'm throwing so many things. I'm opening up the fire hose and say, "Hey,
yeah,
take a drink."
yeah,
It's like So the best thing you could do really is make a list of all the things that you pay for,
yeah.
all your equipment,
Mm-hmm.
all of your overhead stuff, and I'm talking everything, guys, like your phones, if you pay for storage, if you're not paying for storage or you don't have a shop, you
Add that
should
in.
start incorporating add that in, even
Yeah.
if you don't have it. Just be like, look around in the area that you service and find out what the rents are for these things.
Yep.
Because, some people will go, oh, well, dude, you're crazy. You're going to be so greedy and add money in there that you don't even need right now. It's like, I understand that, but this is why we still have guys that run around town and say, yeah, I'll cut it for $20.
Yep.
Okay. They don't have any of this overhead. They don't have insurance and all these other things, or a lot of them don't. And they're still cutting it for nothing
And not making
because,
money.
they're not making money. They're
Yeah.
not making profits. They're not replacing their equipment. They're just running everything into the ground.
Yeah.
And then a lot of times I've had people in my circle that I was helping, and they kind of ran their business that way. And then guess what? Like this year, they're gone.
Yep.
And it's like trying to follow up. Hey, how you guys doing? Yeah, we just quit.
Yeah.
It's like, did you do anything we talked about? No. I was just trying to get by, and I just thought I could do this, and they just weren't listening. And not to say that if you listen to me, you're going to be a superstar success or anything like that, but
No, it's just good grounded
it's like
advice.
they just didn't have the mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't have the mindset to get around like, well, I need to buy, I need to get a new Escalade. That
Mm-hmm.
was one of the guy's things. It was like, okay, well, you got the Escalade, but now you're gonna get it repoed because
Yeah, you're not gonna be able to pay
you
for
went
it.
out of business. So exactly. Um,
So you said make a list of
like
all your
go
expenses.
through. Right. Make a list of all your expenses. Go through this, and I'm talking like, make sure, if you're, even if you're at home, uh, your phone bill, your
Yep.
internet,
Yep.
you got to incorporate those things in there because you're more likely you're using those services to operate your business. So, go through, you got to go through basically everything's a line item.
Yeah.
And you got to just, if you're lazy, okay, one way you could do is just look at your checkbook or look at your checking account
Yeah.
and see what is actually getting paid out.
Yeah. Where's your money going for the last 2 months?
Make sure that exactly. You could look at ours. Excuse me. We have multiple accounts to help us just at a glance see where our money's at.
Yeah.
So, at a glance, I could open up our accounts and say, "Oh, we have payroll covered for, this week is no problem." Oh, we could see that our equipment replacement fund is about on track where it should be. Another mistake guys make is when they're doing this, they're operating out of like a single checking account,
Yep.
and that might look great because you go, "Hey, I got $20,000 in the bank, we're good." But then, oh, hey, payroll hit, or uh, we had to buy something for the business supplies or whatever it might be,
Yep.
and it turns out it's like you actually needed more than $22,000 in the bank, and then you're like, why am I 2 grand short, or why is there no money in the bank?
Yeah.
You're not managing your money the right way. It's just a whole nother offshoot that we could go on. I'm not going to steer that far into it
Yeah.
right now, but um, so yeah, make a list, all your equipment, all your overhead expenses, your labor burden, so that you're paying paying all the FICA and all those taxes for your guys and stuff. Uh, your uh, what else do we have? We have overhead. You had your labor. You have your equipment. Your marketing. Oh, there's so many guys out there that do not even plan for marketing.
Yeah.
And if you don't market, you're not going to grow because even though you're doing this work, marketing and sales is something that a lot of guys aren't comfortable with, and they need to because that's the life force that brings money into the the business.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you kind of have to account for all of these things. I know it sounds like it's impossible, but it's not. You really just have to be focused on it, take it line by line, get all these things added up, and then let's say you're like me where you have an 8-month period. Even let's just say you had a piece of equipment that was like $1,000 a month that you had to pay, right? I know that's a little high, but I'm just using a big round number just so it's easier for me. So in a year, you have to have that 12,000. It would be like, oh, $1,000 a month. It's $12,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because we only operate 8 months out of the year, let's just say, it's more than that 12,000. It's like, oh wait, we actually have to have like 1250.
Yep. Yep.
1,250 or whatever it is. We have to generate that to replace that or to pay for it throughout the season or for the whole year because our bills don't shut off when winter comes.
Yep.
They're still going. My my rental units and things like that, they still want their money. Why would they want their money? I don't know why they want their money in the winter,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
they know I don't work, right? I don't work in the wintertime. No. But you have to account for all those things.
Mm-hmm.
And once you start breaking that down, you get that number, what you need per month during that 8 month time. You look at how many hours that you guys plan to work. So if it's 2,000 hours, or that's usually a 40-hour week, 50 weeks out of the year.
Mm-hmm.
You have to figure it out and be like, maybe we only work 1,400 hours a year. Not including any
Yeah,
overtime that might
yeah.
happen. But you have to start breaking it down on that level. And then once you figure that out, that really helps you dial in what your man-hour rate should be.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's a little more complicated than what I'm saying, but at the
Yeah.
same time,
No,
it could
that's a
be
good
as easy as that.
Yeah, 100%. That's a good start, and that's kind of what I wanted to do on the show was just kind of get a feeler out there, let everybody wet everybody's mouth, taste buds a little bit, and just kind of because here's the thing that I see that is so crucial is there's so many guys who are starting up or have been in business for the last 5 years and just aren't doing it the right way. And this is the reason I'm so passionate about it is because I did that the first two. Like I'm in year 4 now, but in reality, I'm really in like almost year 2 because just last season is when we started figuring things out and doing things the right way. When it comes to, like you're saying, more than one checking account and making accounting for all of your overhead expenses, everything that's involved in running the company, like the software to sit here and record this podcast. Like when I do the budgeting for our podcast and media stuff, then I have to record that. I have to factor that in, and so
Yeah.
it's all crucial things. It's all the mics and headsets and everything else that goes along with this. If you take that to the lawn care industry, then it's just weed eater string, the buttons to replace on the heads, all that stuff comes into factor and it comes into play there. And you just have to figure that stuff out, and you got to figure out your budget to figure out that man hour rate. And when that happens, you're really going to see profits start going up. We did that this year. We started really honing in on our time on our properties, and we when I give new estimates now, like if I think it's going to take me 37 minutes, I'm going to say it's going to take me 37 minutes, and we're going to calculate it to that direct amount. It's going to be the 37 minutes is what we're going to get paid for that, and so it's worked for us, and we're by no means a finished product. We still have so much stuff to do and figure out. But you've helped me just from getting to know you and be friends with you a little more, and just hearing in conversation here and there. But tell us before we wrap this thing up, if you have anything else to leave us with, go ahead and drop something in here. But if not, tell us really about two things. What you got?
Two things. I got two things real quick that just going off of what you were just talking about. One,
Yeah.
you're saying though the 37-minute thing. You have to also include not only the time that it takes you to do that work,
Mm-hmm.
but you have to also include time, the windshield
To
time,
get there, that's huge.
because
Yeah.
part of it, it's like, hey, you know what? If you don't have a super dense route, you don't want to be driving 20 minutes to somebody's place just to go do one account.
Yep. Because you
I
lose
don't really
money.
care what
You
it's
don't.
paying.
You don't make money at the end of the
'Cause
day.
Right. Because, the margins on maintenance they're not as great as people think they are.
Yeah.
They're low. And if you're not including, and this is a great tip for your viewers and listeners right now, is besides the actual production time for that job, you also have to include that travel time.
Mm-hmm.
So it may not be port to port or door to door from your shop back, but at least have what we do is we cover at least from our door to their door, because most of the time we are working in established neighborhoods that we have,
Mm-hmm.
so it might only be like 1 minute to the next account.
Yeah.
Okay. So that way it's like, okay, you're not like losing the opportunity because you're pricing from port to port.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you are recovering that drive time at least one way.
Mm-hmm.
And then your next account, which is only maybe a minute away, picks up the slack for the next, and then so on and so forth. So tip number one, always make sure you're accounting for that windshield time. Number two, we were just talking about the equipment, and you were like, oh, it's the trimmers, the trimmer line, the bump heads, and things like that. One thing that I see guys make a mistake on is you open up their toolbox, let's just call it, and you'll see, they got Echo Steel, Husqvarna, and whatever else they got, like
Yeah.
Ryobi or something. They'll have like a mixture of everything. If you standardize your equipment, if you start thinking in fleet terms, and really don't, when you're like a solo operator, a lot of times it's easier to just be like, yeah, I like this trimmer and I like this piece of equipment more. I'm going to use this trimmer over that one. I'll let my guys use this one over here, whatever. It really doesn't save you anything, because when you have too many customized options there,
Mm-hmm.
think about it. The air filter is probably different on all those trimmers. Your spark plugs might be different. The bump heads and things that might take different parts.
Yeah.
And depending on how often those things get used, they have different wear rates. So you're like, well, I bought two Echo heads because, I just have them. And then maybe you don't use those. You use the steel uh, trimmers more. So now you just got money invested in these Echo heads that are just sitting there on
Yeah.
the shelf
Yeah.
waiting to be replaced. But because those things are collecting dust and the other trimmers don't get used as much, you should have bought more of those steel heads. So,
Yeah.
long story short, wrap it up. Try to think in fleet terms when you purchase your equipment, because, like with mowers, even if you have different sized mowers, one thing that we do is we always pick what worked well for us in the past was a 52-inch mower and a 36.
Mm-hmm.
And we could get in anywhere with that combination. You had the productivity of the 52, the 36 gave you access to small backyards. One of the great things is 52-inch mower blades and 36-inch mower blades for most brands are the same size. So
Oh
you
wow,
only
I
have
didn't
to
know
buy
that.
and focus on one. Yeah, if you only have to focus on one mower blade.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Believe it's like the 48-inch and the 60s are the same size. I
Mm-hmm.
could be wrong, but that with our equipment that we had, they were the same size for the 52s and 36s. Also took the same um, fuel filters. So instead of buying two different fuel filters, oil filters, everything else, we could just buy bulk and say, what, just give me a case of those oil filters,
Yeah.
give me a case of these blades, all these things, and even with like trimmers, if you had like 12 different filters that you got to go through, guys are going to be like, I don't know where that filter is. I'm not going to change it, and then burns out the motor.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah. That's good stuff,
So
man. That's
just think,
all very
yeah,
applicable.
yeah. So start thinking about that, because that's when once you get to that point when you're really starting to like nitpick and get really efficient, streamlined, that's part of it. If people have heard me speak before about streamlining your processes, honestly, excuse me, when you streamline like that, it's like, yeah, I just need just get me some spark plug. There's no hunting around. It's like, here's the box of spark plugs
Yeah. Yeah.
for that trimmer. Bam, good to go.
Yep.
Um, Not only saves you money, saves you time, makes you more profitable that way.
Yeah. 100%. That's good
Um,
stuff. That's stuff that everybody needs to think about, because it's easy to forget that stuff. Those are the little things. It's not one big fatal swoop will take you down. It's the death by 1,000 paper cuts. And
exactly.
those are all things that will lead to that. So, well, man, tell us. We're going on 45 minutes here. This has been a really good, value-packed episode. Before we wrap this up, let us know a little bit about how people can get in touch with you and really dive into your training program that you have, the budgets, break-evens, and bottom lines, and what all that entails, and kind of where they can find it.
Yeah. Um, I have the budgets, break evens, and bottom lines. It's a workshop. It's a 4-hour workshop. It's it goes in great detail.
Yeah.
Everything we just kind of covered. Imagine that, but just like laser focused on your business. So we dive through everything, go through your numbers. It takes a while. I give it 4 hours just because once sometimes it's like peeling an onion. It's like, oh, I think everything's there. It's like I'll peel a layer off. I'm like, hey, what about this right here?
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh yeah, I got to figure that out too. But
Yeah.
at the end of it, I do a lot of the work with you. And that way it's not like you're just on your own. And it really helps you dial in what you need to be charging for the service that you're providing.
Yeah.
And that is available at thegreenindustrypodcast.com. There's also two other programs that I've worked on with Paul Jameson of the Green Industry Podcast. There's the Get to Know Your Numbers. There's the Know Your Numbers program. Paul has taken a few of my modules and put that into that program.
Yeah.
And then there's also the step-by-step guide to operating a successful lawn care business. That is a program that Paul and I worked on earlier this year. It was actually right after the Hype House. We were supposed to do it immediately after while we're in Florida, but we had to postpone. And we did it down in Georgia at the Green Industry Podcast Studio, which is actually a beautiful place.
Yeah.
And besides all that, that's got like 20 modules as of right now, and we keep kind of tweaking it and adding things to it. So all three of those programs are available at greenindustrypodcast.com. And if you are also, I'm just going to plug one other thing. I'm also kind of like the yard book guru guy, and I hate saying guru, but that's what some people have called me. But there's a Facebook user group. It's our Facebook group. It's called Yard Book Users.
Yep.
And you can look at it's free to get in. All you got to do is make sure you answer the questions, and we'll get you in there. But not only is it a huge resource where I could reach out to you and help you with your learning how to use the Yard Book program, which is a CRM, a customer relations management software that helps you run your business. But I also do one-on-one training sessions with that as well. And you could just, once you get into the group, you could contact me and I'll point you in the right direction on how to get that going. So there's a lot of pokers in the fire, but
no, that's good stuff.
It's just there to really just be helpful. I just try to help as many people as I can.
That's right. No, you give a lot back to the community. You give a lot of time to that Yard Book group. I myself am a part of that. Y'all know that I love Yard Book, and I think it's a crucial piece of your business to have some type of CRM, especially even in the beginning. And Yard Books are a great one to get you started. So, thank you, John, for coming on today and spending some time with us this evening. If you do want to connect with him, he just gave you all of his places to go find him: Green Industry Podcast, Yard Book User Group. And what is your tag on Instagram?
John.Pajak.
All right.
I think that's John.Pajak.
John.Pajak. Pretty simple. And we'll link that and put it in the show notes today. If you want to go reach out to him, shoot him a DM or something like that. I'm sure John can help you in some way, shape, or form to help you run a successful business when it comes to managing your money and building and growing your profit when it comes to all things business and finances. So, again, thank you, John, for coming on today.
Thank you so much, Jeremiah. I appreciate it. Time went by like that for me. So
yeah, it has. It's flown by. This has been a really good episode. Hope y'all enjoyed this one. If you did, would you leave us a rating and review, because those really do help us. I know I say it a lot, but they do help us. It boosts us out there and gets us out there to more people to help grow the community one relationship at a time. So without any further ado, we're going to wrap this one up, and we'll catch up with everybody here on the next episode.
Thanks for tuning in to the Growing Green podcast. It is an honor to have you listening, and we hope you receive valuable advice to help take your business to the next level. Don't forget to follow the podcast so you'll be notified when our next episode drops.